they win the NFC South.
We're here, week 2. Bucs are 1-0. Welcome to the second ever episode of The OPPS. This week's OPPS are a familiar foe, the Detroit Lions. Now, if you're not familiar with this, like I said, this is my second ever episode, so if you didn't catch the first one, in the OPPS, we go over the other team. The OPPS, the opposition, their depth chart, coaching, personnel, and I get the lucky task of listening to Detroit Lions podcasts and bringing you guys intel. What is their perspective? How do they feel about the Bucs? How do they feel going into this game? That's what we do here. And that's exactly what we're going to start off with, is that perspective of Detroit Lions fans going into this game against a team who they did beat twice. Once in our house, beat us up pretty bad, and once in the playoffs at their place. I will say that for the most part, they seem to have respect for the Bucs. I think we gained their respect in that playoff game where they played a really good game. The Detroit Lions played, and I quote from someone I listened to, a flawless game against the Buccaneers. And even with that, the Buccaneers were still close right up to the end of the game. So there has to be some respect there. I did make the mistake of listening to a couple of yappers who were just yapping, talking out their jaws, saying. Literally, I listened for about a minute, and I got Carlton Davis is going to lock up Mike Evans and get a pick six. Todd Bowles doesn't know how to coach a defense. What else did they say? Baker Mayfield's trash. So after a minute of listening to that one, that got cut off real quick. Yapping. They do acknowledge the physicality of the Bucs defense. Vita Vea, Yaya Diaby along that line, and then Kalijah Kancey, which on the injured list, continuing, didn't play in the first game, now into the second week, looking like he probably won't play again, nursing that same calf injury from last season. The 2 games that he did play against the Lions last year, he balled out. Couple of sacks. As I'm saying, they respect the Bucs, but ultimately they do think they will handle their business. They are the favorites to win this game. They understand the major injuries the Bucs have on the defense side of the ball. Just mentioned Kancey. They know how good of a player Winfield is, first team All-Pro. He's guaranteed going to be out, so it's an uphill climb for the Bucs. We can't deny that. So now that we've done that, let's talk a little bit about this Detroit Lions team. Obviously, Dan Campbell, the kneecap biter, the grit. Gotta respect him as a coach. Aaron Glenn, a guy that seems to be pretty polarizing throughout their fan base, has some pretty solid pieces on their defense, but they continue to struggle, especially in the secondary, especially in pass coverage. And then Ben Johnson, a guy who very much, I'd say, highly touted, highly sought after the last couple years in the whole coaching cycles, but choosing to stay with the Detroit Lions. Now looking through the roster, a lot of these names we know. Like I said, we played them twice last season, so very familiar. Jared Goff, we know who he is. We know what he's capable of. Is he a top 5 quarterback? No. But he can certainly dice up a defense, throw for over 300 yards, and just make you look silly. He can do that. Pocket passer, old school style, but gets it done. And with the weapons he has around him, plenty of guys to give the ball to. So let's get into those weapons. Behind him, David Montgomery, the bruiser back, run up the middle, tire you out all game long. And then the change of pace, who I think is the better running back, more talented. I'll say the more talented running back, Jahmyr Gibbs. Very good pass catcher, really fast, physical despite his frame. He looks kind of on the skinnier side when you compare him to David Montgomery, but he is physical. These guys are probably the best 1-2 punch in the league. For my fantasy people, you know Montgomery and Gibbs, both highly sought after commodities. And I don't know if there's another team where that's the same situation, where that 1-2 punch is just, you want both of them on your team. Yes, we love Rashad White and Bucky Irving, but when you're talking about, you've seen it, they've done it, it's this Detroit Lions. For this wide receiver group, I will say, obviously super good at the top. Amon-Ra St. Brown just loves to kill the Bucs. And then it kind of goes further down. Jamison Williams, he had a really good week 1, but in the past, he's struggled to stay on the field, whether it be injury or just dropping passes. Though he did, one of the touchdowns that he did catch last season was against our Buccaneers. Deep ball from Goff, right on Ryan Neal. So that's a problem we don't have to worry about this season with Ryan Neal no longer being on the team. After that, I think there is a big drop-off. I mean, Khalif Raymond, a name that football fans know. Traquan Smith, I know him because he went to UCF. But outside of that, no other names I think we really need to worry about. The big tight end, Sam Laporta, super athletic, just a mismatch. Him and Amon-Ra in the middle of the field is just, it's pretty close to unguardable when you think of the route running and speed Amon-Ra has, and then the size and athleticism that Sam Laporta brings. It's kind of like another 1-2 punch. It's just pick your poison. Amon-Ra's too fast for linebackers. Sam Laporta's too big for safeties. It's trouble. And we saw it in the playoffs last year. They destroyed us in the middle of the field. Gonna be tough to stop, especially given the injuries. So that offensive line, one of the best in my opinion. Taylor Decker, Glasnow, Ragnow, Zietler, Sewell. Sewell, obviously, one of the best at his position. It's just another. It's a great offense. It is. It is a offense without holes. If you want to say they're shallow at wide receiver, sure. But I mean, if that's your issue, you're living good. Now let's go over to the defensive side of the ball, where they do have some big names. And last year, their issue was pass coverage. The Bucs were able to throw the ball on them. Mike Evans in that playoff game, what do you have? $140 and a touchdown. I mean, that was very obviously where they struggled and was the weakness of the team. This year, they still seem vulnerable, given how that Sunday Night Football game went, but I do think they did take a step up. Brian Branch in that secondary there at safety position, able to another year under his belt, very young guy. Trade, 3rd round pick, obviously we all know, Carlton Davis, this is the Carlton Davis revenge game. He was okay in week 1. He had the task of trying to guard Cooper Kupp for the most part, and I mean, it's a tough task. It's a tough task. There was a couple times where Cooper Kupp made him look silly. A couple times Carlton Davis could add an interception, dropped it. Not a surprise to us. He can be a good man-to-man corner, but we've seen years of Carlton Davis, and I wouldn't call him a playmaking corner. Not going to go out there and pick 6 and really nice interception. He'll get some pass breakups. On his best day, he can lock up a really good wide receiver, but consistency-wise, I heard he's on the injury report. That's no surprise to us either. CD3, major respect for him. I'm not going to sit here and drag him. But just given the reality of the situation and what we know about Carlton Davis, inconsistency and injuries, and not really a big interception guy. Kirby Joseph, physical safety, had an interception in the end zone last week. Terrion Arnold, 1st round pick. Like I said, they knew that was their weakness, and they invested in it with Carlton Davis, 1st round pick. Terrion Arnold, rookie. I mean, it's hard to read too much into how good he is yet. He played 1 game in the NFL. If Mike Evans is on Terrion Arnold, I like our matchup. That front 7 for them, though, it's tough. You have the monster, the beast, Aiden Hutchinson. It's all about limiting Aiden Hutchinson. I don't think there is stopping Aiden Hutchinson. I know we have one great tackle and one good tackle. It's a challenge. McNeil in the middle there has been pretty good for them. He's been with them for a few years now. DJ Reader didn't play in week 1. He's looking to be ready to go in week 2. Just another big body in the middle there. Marcus Davenport, questionable. We know him from his time with the Saints. And then that linebacker group, Jack Campbell, Alex Anzalone, Derek Barnes, who got that interception on Baker late in that playoff game to put the game away. It's a very good front seven. This is going to be a big game, big test for the Buccaneers. Given the injuries on the back end, you hope at least Zion McCollum can get out of concussion protocol. Apparently Luke Gedeke is in concussion protocol now. That would be a huge miss on the line if he can't make it. I mean, it's hard to say. We got to see how these injuries play out. But personnel-wise, the Lions do have the better team, in my opinion, playing at their place. I think there is a way for the Bucs to win this game. I will get into that in the preview. So, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the Ops, where we go through everything Detroit Lions, personnel, coaching, and their fans' perspective. Next will be the Detroit Lions and Tampa Bay Buccaneers preview, where we discuss how the Bucs will be able to win this game. Stay tuned. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. Comment down below your thoughts on this Detroit Lions team. Once again, thank you. Go Bucs. Y'all have a blessed one.